Welcome to the British History Podcast Wrap-Up Show. I'm Benjo.
I'm B. And Benjo, we're here for Season 1, Episode 17, Advancement in Occupation.
All right.
Yeah?
We've done Episode 16.
Well, good question. Episode 16 was like a recap of the first 15 episodes.
Okay.
Jamie was still trying to figure out how the podcast was going to go. And so I think he was thinking maybe he'd do like just recap episodes every once in a while. He doesn't do those anymore.
Okay.
Benjo, it's been a minute since we've been able to do one.
Yeah.
I think it was, we released some, but they were done in late September. So you want to tell everybody what we've been up to?
Stuff.
Yeah? In detail?
Well, last week we went to...
No, this I'm talking about over the last 6 weeks.
You tell them.
What came through Greenwood?
Oh, yeah. Hurricane Helene came through Greenwood, hit us terribly.
It was crazy. If you haven't seen it on the news.
Luckily, we didn't have any damage to our house, but it was just terrible.
A lot of people did, and there's still a lot of trees down. I'm dealing with it every day, trying to get it cleaned up. Your grandparents had a tree in their house.
Luckily, they weren't there either.
Yeah. So we won't belabor that. If you hadn't seen it on the news, if you don't live in Greenwood, I mean, because we got fans all 7 continents. I think people in Antarctica are even watching us. Did you hear about
that? People don't live in Antarctica. Only scientists.
I know a guy.
You think scientists are just watching it?
I do. I think they are. But if you don't live around here, you wouldn't understand unless you've been here. The pictures don't even do it justice. But it could be worse. Yeah. It could be in Western North Carolina. Prayers for them,
Asheville.
And then during the hurricane, we had the trial that we talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to tell them the results?
Well, he got sentenced, the murderer got sentenced to 45 years in jail.
Yeah, found guilty, 45 years
like 88 when he gets out.
Yeah. I was actually looking at his thing the other day, and his release date is 2068, which just made me think of
1066.
Yeah, Benjo's taking me to the site of the Battle of Hastings in 1066, 2066, when I'm 87.
Yeah, 1066.
Anyway, there's that. There's more, but Benjo, I think it's time for us to get on with the show here. Let's talk some British history, dog.
Yeah.
We're doing this in the morning also. This is a rare morning episode. I just took a shower, a little hot from the shower. Got school. So we're doing this pre-school, pre-7th grade. Benjo, the year is?
138.
138. Emperor Hadrian, who built Hadrian's Wall that we talked about, he's getting old. He's dying. He'd been reigning for 20 years, right?
Yeah.
And he knew who he wanted to replace him. It was a 17-year-old kid named Marcus Aurelius, right? Marcus Aurelius is going to come into play, very famous Roman emperor. But at the time Hadrian was dying, Marcus Aurelius was too young. 17 was too young. So Hadrian had a plan for his succession. Hadrian turned to Antoninus, who was a bit older, not as old as Hadrian, but older, and he was respected by the Senate. He was a somewhat aging statesman in 138. 52 was different than it is now. I mean, I'm 7 years away from that. But he was the appointment of Antonine as emperor was made contingent on him adopting Marcus Aurelius as his son, so that he had a better birthright type claim, even though the Senate still had to prove it. He had a better birthright type claim to the Roman throne when Marcus Aurelius became old enough. So anyway, 138, he's dying. He dies. Hadrian dies at age 62. Built this wall. And so Antoninus came in. And Hadrian had kind of traveled the world, right? Antoninus wasn't a world traveler like Hadrian. His rule was peaceful, mostly, except the big exception we're about to talk about. So in 139, Antoninus appointed Quintus uh, Urbicus. There's a middle name in there too, but I'm not even going to try it. As governor of Britannia, the island of Britannia.
Yeah.
And Antoninus told Urbicus to be more aggressive towards towards the people of northern Britain, the Brigantes and the there's another tribe. What's the other tribe? The hold on. The Caledonians. But anyway, the northern people of Britain. And so we know that there were some that around 140 legions were sent. So 2 years after Antoninus becomes governor, there are legions sent to Hadrian's Wall.
Yeah.
And there's evidence from inscriptions on Hadrian's Wall that that they engaged in a successful battle with the Britons. There's even a note, an altar or a note dedicated to a Roman victory over a previously unknown tribe, and Jamie gives several long names for it. I'm not even going to attempt it, but it's thought that may have been previously unknown tribe. It may have been what we later came to know as the Picts.
Yeah.
The Picts. Have you heard me say the Picts? P-I-C, P-I-C-T-S?
No.
So the Picts were basically Scottish people, more red hair, northern Britannia, the Scottish people at the northern end of the island, and the Scottish Isles and everything. So in the years that follow, there's victory. They mint victory coins, and so with this push to be more aggressive against these northern Britons, there's a new frontier. It's the Fourth Clyde Isthmus. I'm not quite sure what that means, but all we know is it's 100 miles north of Hadrian's Wall.
All right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, Benjo, Jamie goes into a lot of talk about why they did this excursion, why they went further, because it appears that there weren't financial gains to be made from it. There weren't a lot of resources. There wasn't like a very fertile area in Scotland that they were, ransacking crops or overtaking mines or something. So why do you think they went further?
I mean, just wanted to have more time to train. I don't know, like to have more battleground on their own.
I mean,
maybe they were like more. They were reproducing a lot. I don't know.
They needed more. They needed to expand more.
Yeah.
Well, I don't even think that was it. I mean, the long and short of it is, it sounds like it was just a way for Antonine to gain prestige, right?
Yeah.
His predecessors had conquered a lot of stuff, and they were conquering all like known parts of the world. Even though there wasn't a ton of financial gain in return, Antonine wanted prestige. And that's what the senators, the powerful people that put him in control and power as an emperor, looked to in Rome. And so he was looking for that prestige, even though they really weren't gaining anything. I mean, other than, yes, they're gaining territory, but there wasn't a direct return on that investment. So he saw this, basically he saw it as the easiest path to conquering, because they spent they spent some resources in North Africa, but I guess it was more difficult to conquer parts of North Africa than it was Britannia. Even though I'm sure it wasn't easy, they were spending more energy on conquering Britannia so he could claim, look, I conquered more of this island of Britannia, so my legacy should be complete. Anyway, see, again, it just seems like it was more political. So 100 miles north of Hadrian's Wall, which was built less than a generation ago. You know, Hadrian was,
Really?
Hadrian built his wall like 20 years before. So then 100 miles north of that, they build the Antonine Wall. So we talked about Hadrian's
Do
Wall
they
last
connect
time.
it?
No, it's not connected. It's like kind of parallel.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to put down this working microphone just for a second so I can explain something to you. So the Hadrian's Wall was, it was from coast to coast essentially, right? But the island of Britain kind of goes like this. So Hadrian's Wall is right here. The Antonine Wall is up here. The Antonine Wall is shorter because
Yeah.
the area is coming.
Okay, I understand. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Like it's higher up, but it's shorter. And
It's shorter in length,
yeah.
and it was also shorter in height. So
Well, I thought you just explained it where it was right here.
I'm talking about the island of Britain.
Oh.
I'm talking about the physical island of Britain. Comes like this, right? And so Hadrian's Wall goes across it right here. But when you get to the north of the island of Britain, Hadrian's Wall is up here. It's shorter in length because
okay,
there's less area that it has to cross, right? But it's also shorter in height. And it was a turf wall built mostly of earth that was moved. Sounds like it was mostly from the moat or the ditch that they built, the ankle breaker ditch. Remember we talked about that? God, that would stink in 145 to break your ankle and not have real medical care and just have to hobble for the rest of your life, I guess. So on the north side, as I understand it, there was an ankle breaker ditch, and there were ramparts on top. And it was probably about 10 feet tall, so that was shorter than Hadrian's Wall. And just like Hadrian's Wall, there were forts and mile castles spread out at intervals throughout, so they could organize. And it began with like 6 forts along the wall. It said eventually there sprung up about 20 forts. And there was a road that ran the length of the wall on the south side with that connected with roads leading south. So it was like kind of a grid, east to west, north to south, and they could control travel real quickly. Construction began in 142. So again, like 20 years after Hadrian's Wall was built. And did I mention last time when we go to Britain, I want to go to both Hadrian's Wall and the Antonine Wall?
No, but you just did now.
I did, okay.
I said you just did now.
I just did now. The construction on the Antonine Wall lasted 12 years. What?
I was going to ask you, like, how many things you want to go to?
Oh, my gosh. We're going to have to take multiple trips. Let's just put it that way. All right.
All right.
And the wall was built by the same 3 legions that built Hadrian's Wall. And so, talking about Hadrian's Wall, again, Hadrian's Wall wasn't that old.
Yeah.
By the time the Antonine Wall was constructed, Hadrian's Wall was only about 25 years old, something like that, the completion of it. And so, once the Antonine Wall was built, they didn't necessarily abandon, it sounds like, Hadrian's Wall, but largely did. And they removed the doors of Hadrian's Wall so people could move in and out easily. Like, because if you had the Antonine Wall, why did you need like reinforced doors at Hadrian's Wall? Because the Antonine Wall was north of Hadrian's Wall, and they were trying to protect from the incursions of the north. And so the Hadrian's Wall was no longer the frontier. Now, we talk about why they built the wall. One thing is, it sounds like, and Jamie gives a lot of reasons. It sounds like it could have been a punitive, a punitive measure, like to punish the Brigantes, because there's some theory that the Brigantes were kind of spread out. Their original native habitat was both north and south of Hadrian's Wall. Yeah. So by originally building Hadrian's Wall, you're building it right in the middle of it. And then by building the Antonine Wall, you've completely encapsulated the Brigantes, right?
Mm.
So the Brigantes apparently lived both, according to some people, lived both south of Hadrian's Wall and north of Hadrian's Wall, but south of the Antonine Wall. So by building the Antonine Wall, Rome controls every part of, well, almost all parts of the Britannia south of that wall. Maybe not some parts in Wales. Wales was always rebellious, but anyway, the bottom line is Jamie thinks the Antonine Wall was built more for prestige and legacy, from what I can tell. Now, a building the Antonine Wall, they still had unconquered Caledonians to the north of the Antonine Wall. I mean, there's just more tribes that keep coming out here. Maybe Picts too. I don't know.
Like, just stop coming out.
But it's like they wanted to control the entire island, but they didn't want to spend the time and energy to truly go to the tip of northern Scotland.
Yeah.
What we know is the very tip of the island of Britannia. You think you're funny, don't you?
Well,
Benjo, that's it, man. We're gonna get back on doing these more, and we're gonna go hard, and we're gonna finish season 1, and we're gonna have a party.
Heck yeah.
I think there's 44 episodes season 1. We're on 17.
I've been Benjo.
I've been B.
This has been the British History Podcast Wrap Up Show.
Talk to you later.